some of the guys that go to colleges and they'll, people can just ask them questions or whatever, and it's a religious nature. There's a couple of guys that will just, it's just an open forum to try and convince people that they need Jesus. And one guy's like, well, I think I'm basically good, I'm okay. And so the guy will ask him, well, just ask him some basic questions. If you ever just, told any lie whatsoever, well, yeah, I suppose I have. And this preacher asked him, just a few basic questions, and then he goes, so you're a thief, you're a murderer, you're a liar, you're, what you actually are. Are you actually good? Nobody is, right? And they look finally at their own selves in the right light to realize, I am a sinner. And it's like nobody has ever approached them with the truth ever before. They're like, well, yeah, I guess I'm a liar. I need Jesus. I didn't think so until, it's amazing how angry people get too at something like that. But
it's almost like you have to, if they're really angry, I put my hand on their shoulder and say, there's a remedy.
mm-hmm.
It's okay to face your real self.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other people that they've faced is the people that say, I'm too bad. God can't, there's, and then he'll go to people like Paul in the Bible that were murderers, or Saul in the Old Testament, who murdered priests. Even though he was a saved person, he was still a murderer, Saul in the Old Testament. Interesting thought. So, Brother Aaron?
The reason it's upsetting is because no one wants to be a sinner. It's kind of like one day you wake up, you have the flu. You didn't choose to have the flu, but you can't go to work that way because you're going to get other people sick. Just the same, we can't go into heaven with sin where we're going to get other people sick.
I don't know if that's the proper analogy, but I guess I can see where you're coming from. I want to ask, as an open forum, a young man that is here, say, I guess the best example that I can think of this morning would probably be Brother Benjamin. Is he 15 or 16? 15. 4 or 5 years, hopefully, it's somewhere, he'll be thinking about a spouse, right? What criteria should he be thinking about? I mean, who do you bring home to mom and dad and say, this is... What do you think, Brother Jordan?
There's lots of things.
I mean, we're... Okay. So we've arrived at female so far. You guys are a fountain of information, so...
I missed it. Was the
a young man in church is getting to be the age where he's looking for a spouse, what criteria should he use for that? For their
Equally yoked.
equally yoked. So he should be saved. Maybe like-minded. I dated a girl because she was saved once, but she really believed in speaking in, I'll get to you, Brother Aaron, speaking in tongues. I brought her to church here, and yeah, it was a big deal for her, so I'm like, sorry. Go ahead.
One thing you want to look forward to being able to do first is to be able to provide instead of being provided for, and be able to have a house where there's enough room to start a family.
No, that's
That's not what you're asking?
not even close. A criteria
What's the criteria?
that is qualities a person has. Qualities that the person you're looking at marrying is going to have. Equally yoked, female, maybe same type of church, probably. That would be good.
Yeah, I think the same church is really important because it's just, you don't even know how many things you don't believe that are the same, just being,
Right.
like, the kind of family that you grow up in. How they treat other people, like, maybe a girl, how she reacts to her father or siblings.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when it's a woman looking for a man. 'Cause they're only gonna treat you nice for so long.
Right.
It's still not as exciting anymore.
Not as exciting. That's true. So the question right now we're asking ourselves is, young man in church, he's starting to get old enough to consider a spouse. What qualities are we looking for? So far we've arrived at female. That's important. Equally yoked. Most likely we're looking for someone that is a church member. Anything else? Kind. Oh, and how they treat other people. I'm sorry, Sister Noel. I should have actually been listening. I was, but I forgot that. How they treat other kind, how they treat other people, how, disposition. Sister Kathy, and then.
Are they a hard worker? Are they an entitled person who thinks the world owes them everything?
Mhm.
Are they faithful? Or are they hit and miss in their attendance?
So are they a fringe kind of a church member? Are they invested in the church? Go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say, how they serve.
Uh-huh.
When girls are young and not have kids, it's a lot easier to serve other people.
Yeah.
How selfish they are.
I've been thinking about this. We a lot of times we'll look at Proverbs 31 and go, this is kind of the type of qualities that we're looking for in a lady. When I was first studying for the ministry, Brother Sheffield said, you're going to counsel all the people. I'm going to send you people to counsel. Because he sent me people that were interested in getting married. And the first thing that you ask them when you're counseling someone that wants to get married is, what expectations do you have for your future spouse? And about half of them's like, well, I don't have any. Yes, they do. I'm like, so you don't care if your spouse cheats on you? Oh, no, they can't do that. So you have expectations. We need to lay them out on the table. So the prospective person understands, you know. I would send them to three couples that are married that they trust, and ask them their finances. And this one couple came back and goes, I can't believe. Some of them, the couple that they've talked to that have been married for 20, 25 years, they get their paycheck, they pay their bills, they spend it on whatever else that they want, and once the money's gone, they're done. Which they're not spending beyond their means, but they have zero plan. They're just flabbergasted that that's the way they spent their money. You know, that would blow me away. You know, but expectations that we have.
I think to go along with that, you want to make sure that, I mean, you're on the same page. You don't want to get married and, 5 years into marriage, you go, hey, let's have kids. They're like, well, I don't want kids.
Mm-hmm.
All that you should probably uncover before, get too far into it.
Yeah. Although, what do you want? What do you want now? What do you want down the road? What do you want tomorrow? Go ahead.
It's also not like probably you have to have it, but it's nice to see how people respond in uncomfortable situations or hard times.
Mm-hmm. So when hard times come, when problems show up, they don't just lose their mind. I've met some, they were great until that comes along, holy mackerel, they're useless in a crisis. Or they're part of the crisis. Go ahead.
It's easy to make a list like that, but when it comes down to it, 1 John where it says, for all that's in the world, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, all that seems to take over, right? And so then that list seems to go out the window, right? Because then those things take over. I think it's really important to try the spirits, whether they be of God, right? So pray about it. I think that should be the number one thing is that who the Lord leads you to? Because they might fulfill that whole list, but you might not be compatible with them.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Testimony.
Yeah.
So at 17 years old, when I got married, we've been married 64 years, and I'm not going to tell you that the whole time has been a joyride.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the only expectation that I had at that age was that he would at least come to church with me.
Mm-hmm.
But then, praise God, I had a dad that got a hold of him. So, you can talk about all these things, but in reality, at that age, I'm not going to tell you these kids have very many expectations.
Right.
Because they don't.
Mm-hmm.
All they can think of is, this is what I thought of. Oh, he's really good looking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought about.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I was raised in church.
Mm-hmm.
That I can never remember having a Sunday school teacher or anybody that talked about all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All I could think of was, oh man, he's got a car, he's good looking. So I like him.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe when we think about this, we need to, especially if we have children that are coming along to the age where they might be looking for someone. Back when I was a teenager, if you had a boyfriend, you were really up on top of the heap.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, and I'm not going to say that the church needs to do all this. It needs to happen at home.
Right.
It needs to happen in the home where the parents are preparing their children
Yes. I always say it's the second biggest decision you make in your life. What's the biggest decision you ever make in your life? Accepting Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. That is the biggest decision that a person ever makes, heaven or hell, eternity. But then the next thing in your life that you make a big decision on is who you're going to be with for the rest of your life. At least that is God's plan. Sister Noel, you agree?
Well, that's what they both said, made me think, because like, you're not gonna find any of those qualities when you're a worldly person.
Right.
Like, when I started dating Michael, I knew how he was with everybody, so like, nobody's gonna be perfect
Mhm.
ever. We both have to be willing to grow and change, like.
Yeah. Sister.
And I think I'd like to, because like, I know growing up, I didn't really have expectations, I didn't go to church, but I knew what I didn't want, looking at my parents as an example.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope that like, when it comes to Abby, she's like, I want a relationship like my parents have,
Mhm.
hopefully,
Mhm.
like if we are good examples to her.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, growing up, I didn't have a good example at all, so I had nothing to, I knew I had parents, but they were divorced for a long time before they got back together.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have any, I guess, examples of good marriage in my life growing up. Because everybody I knew was divorced or single, no, I didn't have that, what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we are providing that for our children to go, I want something like that.
Having said all that, I've been thinking about this for a while, and in Hosea chapter 1, God tells a prophet to do something that I don't know that I could do or would do or should do. But he tells him, verse 1, the word of the Lord came unto Hosea. In the New Testament, if you see him quoted, it's Osi. That's in the New Testament. But Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. Think about this, that right now, when the word of the Lord comes to Hosea, Hosea must be a younger individual, because all of that came to Hosea in all of those kings. If you add up all of Hosea's ministry, Hosea was a prophet for 77 years. 77 years. That's how long Hosea was a prophet of God. That's how long his ministry lasted. At the bare minimum, it was 65 years, but it's more like 77. Okay, so verse 2, the beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. The Lord said to Hosea, go take unto thee a wife of whoredoms, and a children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So the culture is a little different in 792 BC. Today, you don't just go take a woman. Back then, you did. Basically, Hosea bought her from her mom. That kind of the way it worked out in the Hebrew as you read that there. And in verse 3, so he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblam, which conceived and bare him a son. So I've been thinking about, by the way, Mom and Dad, God just told me, I mean, his dad is Barry. I mean, he's a prophet of God. I mean, a lot of times we talk about Hosea and we focus on Israel because what God said is the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So we focus on that for the rest of the 12 chapters of Hosea. But for the beginning, I just want us to focus on these people. Barry, Diblam, Gomer, Hosea. Hosea had to go do something unpleasant that's going to affect him for the rest of his life, pretty much. He has children with this lady. I mean, most of us wouldn't call her a lady. I mean, I've been thinking about this for a few weeks now, and it'd be like, you want me to do what? Does everybody understand the type of lady that God told him to go get? She was a prostitute. She was the Bible says harlot. She was a prostitute. In today's society, is that a glorified position in any society? No, that kind of the bottom of the barrel, isn't it? You know? I mean, Hosea, does anyone know what Hosea's name means? Hosea's name means salvation. Obvious, I believe his parents were godly parents, you know? Mom and Dad, God just came and told me to do this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going and doing this, you know? Because this is not the type of person that you bring home to Mom and Dad, you know? Yeah. His wife's name, Gomer, means complete. And God will tell him what to name his children as an example to Israel on, you know. Okay, we've started to paint a picture, but as we're looking at this, consider how bad God considered Israel's actions to do something this extreme to try and wake up Israel, the Jewish people. How bad has it gotten that God tells a prophet, go get you a prostitute for a wife? Can you imagine everybody in the, what are you doing, Hosea? God told me to go get her because all of you guys are prostituting yourself. You are just way worse than the person that I just took as a wife. No, I'm not. I'm okay. And how often do we sugarcoat the things that we are doing? And God says, you're an idolater, you're an adulterer, you're a fornicator, you're a liar, you're a thief. You need to look at the sin for what it is. That it's cosmic treason against God many times. You know, and I think sometimes Baptists make a big mistake when we say sin is sin. Because missing the mark is sin. Sometimes we need to look at it in the eyes of God, to take the Bible and go, this is the way God views the things that I'm deciding to do. Good, bad, or indifferent. I need to look at it through the lens that God has, and not that, we call it a white lie, or we call it sleeping with someone, or we call it, whatever we call it, whatever it is, we need to look at it through the eyes that God has. And this, isn't this pretty extreme? Wouldn't you think that there'd be another way for this to go besides go find yourself a harlot or a prostitute and marry her, Brother Boone?
We can look at it and see it for the, kind of train wreck that it is, but, certainly there were upsides to the wife that he chose. And I'm sure she had a way of making him feel like this is, a real marriage and a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we fall into that trap a lot of times too, with all sorts of sin. But the train wreck comes, when you least expect it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Didn't she leave Hosea and God told him to go get her?
Go get her. Go buy her back. He had to buy her back. Yeah, you got to read the whole book. You got to read the whole thing. This is just the beginning. We're looking at it with Jordan. Look at it.
God is the same situation with Israel. And we get real judgy about, what if a harlot comes here and wants to be, people change their life all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Israel's a perfect example of, they're the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, as Hosea. And we really put a lot of we might not want that for our kids, but that doesn't mean that person can't change their life or, or whatever. We really get judgy as far as that aspect. When it's really in the Bible, a person can make that decision. It might be the wrong one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing in the Bible that says you can't marry someone, that has had these issues in the past.
That's true. Yeah, there's certain criteria for priests in the Old Testament, who they're supposed to marry, but God doesn't tell anybody else. And I've seen pastors that try and take the criteria from the Old Testament and, because we are priests, you need to apply that to us being New Testament. I don't know necessarily that correlates. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but you're right. And I think, if, like Sister Tilly just said, you got to read the whole book. Did Gomer end up being something good for Hosea? In the end, I think so. We just focused on she's a terrible person because she's a prostitute. Eventually, and I don't know if we even get to read the first part of this chapter. Maybe we should do that first.
You gotta remember, Rahab
Yeah,
She's in the lineage of the Lord.
that's true. She ended up doing some really good things, even though she was in a terrible profession to begin with. Brother Aaron? And then I'll get-
Missing the mark. In target practice, if you've done it before, you'll know that even after 10 years of training, if you miss the target 800 times and only hit it once, this is actually normal, that you were trying to hit it. If you miss on purpose, this is called iniquity.
No, iniquity is practicing sin. It's looking at sin that I've done and I'm not really sorry for it. It's going back and doing it over and over again. That's iniquity.
Thank you.
Sin is missing the mark on purpose.
So I got it the other way around.
Missing it on purpose. Go ahead.
I think Hosea probably became very much more understanding of how God felt because of, and it says later in the book that he loved her.
Yes.
And it, sometimes makes me wonder, why does God continue to forgive me, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure that was a very good object lesson both for Hosea and then for people who watched Hosea and be like, how could he keep bringing her back?
Yeah.
But the love there is a great object of God's love to us. It keeps forgetting.
And if let's start with Brother John. Let's read the first 10 verses, and then I want to talk about a few things while we've got time. So go ahead, Brother John. Start in verse 1. Let's go to verse 10.
Can we read them all?
No.
The word of the Lord came unto Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the day of
Uzziah.
Jotham, Azar, and Hezekiah, the king of Judah, the day of the Lord, Joam, the son of Joshua, the king of Israel.
In the beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea, and the Lord said to Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of whoredom and children of whoredom, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord.
So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Newport, which conceived and bare him a son.
And the Lord said unto him, Call his name Jezreel. For yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel on the house of Jehu, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel.
And it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel.
And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and God said unto him, Call her Go-Rimah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away.
But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah and save them by the word of the Lord. I will not save them by the sword, by the sword, or battle, horses, or horsemen.
Now when she had weaned she conceived and bare a son.
Then said God, Call his name
Lo-Ami.
Loami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said to them, Ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God.
Okay. If you've read your Bible quite a bit, there is so many references of different things. First Peter made reference to this, and Jesus made reference to verse 10. This has been quoted many times. The name that, well, first of all, before I get, I want to flood you with information because there's so many things that I learned studying this, but is there any comments on this first 10 verses that we've read? Who is God done with?
Israel.
Israel. Who is that at this point? The 10 northern tribes. It's generally accepted that for the most part, Hosea lived in that area, but there's times that he would go and prophesy to Judah, which is the last two tribes of Israel that God said, I'm not done with them yet, right? Hosea and Gomer had, in verse 3, she bare him a son, right? The Bible says she bare him a son. So, and I believe the second child was Hosea's. The way it kind of looks here as you read it, I'm beginning to believe that most of the scholars are right that kid number 3 did not belong to Hosea. That's part of the reason for the name, that it wasn't his people. With her name and the way that the language looks, I'm fairly certain that Gomer was an Israelite, that she was Jewish, even though that she was a prostitute. So even though that she was of that profession, she still was part of that nation. But when, and as you look here in verse 8, and when she had weaned Lo-Ruhamah, her second child, she conceived and bare a son. The Bible doesn't say she bare a son to Hosea. It just says that she bare a son. And so I'm fairly certain that it wasn't his. I know it's quite a shocker for some people. It happens. Go ahead.
Did God warn him that she would be unfaithful?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that he.
Well, he didn't want him to marry them. God, she wasn't God.
No, she wasn't. But God told him to go get her, go marry her. Yeah.
Get her to marry the bird.
Jezreel means God sows. That's what Jezreel means. Sows. God sows. And Jezreel is a valley. If you look at Joshua chapter 17 and verse 16, Jezreel is a valley. And in 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 46, when Elijah ran before Ahaz, he ran to the entrance of Jezreel. It's a big valley. Before Hosea, Jezreel or Jezreelites or all of the reference to Jezreel is mentioned 40 times in the Old Testament. before you get to Hosea. It's talked about 4 times in Hosea about Jezreel. But before you get to Hosea, the Bible mentions Jezreel 40 times. And the name refers to that valley, Jezreel Valley. There's a lot of blood that was shed in that valley in Israel's history, especially by Israel and not Judah. So in naming his first son Jezreel, it was really a testament against Israel, the 10 tribes, to begin with. And it's in some instances you'll come across Jezreel or Jezreelite in the Bible, and it sounds like it's a town or, like, where did, what is that? Jericho. It'd sound like it's Jericho, but it's this huge valley. There's several towns that are there in the Jezreel Valley. I've thought about bringing a map so I could show it to you where it's at, but I couldn't find one that I liked, that I got a decent look at. I'll see if this week if I can find one so I could show it to you. It's and interestingly enough, when Christ was born, he was born in which town? Bethlehem. Bethlehem, and when they quoted Bethlehem, they quoted Bethlehem Ephratah. Why? Because there's 2 Bethlehems in Israel. In part of the valley of Jezreel, the other Bethlehem that's in the northern part is up there. So that was free. Most people don't know there's 2 Bethlehems in Israel, but one is 6 miles south of Jerusalem. One is about almost 90 miles north of Jerusalem. Sometimes I wonder, just how much information do I get? Because we're already almost out of time, and I'm not even getting started in Hosea. Verse 6, Lo Rama, his daughter, Lo Rama. It means unloved or pitiful. Most think that it means the southern kingdom at this time, but it's not. It's it's the northern kingdom kind of that he's talking about. And then he says, name her that, and in verse 6, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. They went into captivity before Judah did. History says that Hosea died in captivity in starts with a B. Babylon, yeah. When they finally went into captivity with Jeremiah and all of the, Hosea went into captivity. He was a very old man by that time, and he died of natural causes in Babylon. They've wrote actually quite a bit about Hosea in the Talmud, in the Jewish writings about him, because he lived so long. Some of you missed Hosea's ministry. Even though he only has 12 chapters in the Bible, he had 14. Thank you. His ministry lasted for 77 years. I was thinking about some of the others in the Bible that lived and had a ministry that long. There was some, like John the Apostle, Jehoiada, in 2 Chronicles 24:15. He had a ministry that lasted longer than Hosea's, 80, 90 years, something like that. But there's a lot of people after man started not living quite as long as some of the ones in Genesis where their ministry, Moses' ministry lasted for 80 years. It would have been much longer had he not struck the right rock the second time. We're out of time. When God makes reference to Israel about in verse 2, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. They still had priests that were sacrificing things to God. They still had the religious motions that they did. They still called upon the name of the Lord for various things, but they had introduced idols from other nations into their lives and allowed it in and begin to just, I guess, I don't know how much I want to actually talk about that, but suffice it to say that even though Israel thought they were doing okay, to God, a jealous God, they had left. Even though they were still in the land, as you read the book of Isaiah, he outlines many, and Jeremiah and Ezekiel. Mostly, if you just read through the first 38 chapters of Ezekiel, you can really see a lot of the things that they were doing in secret. That God's like, I see what you're doing. You can't hide the horrible things that you've left me. You call my name with your lips, but your heart far from me. Far from me. And this is the example that Hosea is giving Israel here. The last one where he says, name him Loami, he says in verse 9, for you are not my people, and I will not be your God. Loami just simply means godless, or not a person of God, is what Loami means. Not a person of God. So that's, and names mean something to God, and names mean, I don't know, to us nowadays maybe not so much, but back then it was. So I've been thinking about that for weeks now, that how all that would pan out. Go ahead, Brother Boone, and then we got to shut her down. Go ahead.
And Israel did cease to exist, got broken up and split up into
Mm-hmm.
They altered the Bible to say that the temple, after it was destroyed, was built
Mm-hmm.
in, near Samaria, and decided to worship there. And like, the whole thing kind of fell apart. That's why they're called Jews today. It's
Mhm.
Judah, not, because Israel fell apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true. Now they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny that people nowadays is Jewish, there's like, well, we're following God and what he expects of us, but then you just start asking basic questions and they're still not following God. So let's stand. So if you can't tell, we're studying Hosea. We're going to start with the first of the 12. If you look in a Jewish Bible, there's only 24 books in a Jewish Bible. All of the Old Testament that we have is in those 24 books, but they only have 24. So